Okay, so how do I choose a local moving company? That's the big question, right? Obviously, if you're asking me, I would say just choose our company and there you go, right? But I know that we don't service every area in the United States, especially when it comes to local moving. So local moving by definition is typically 30 miles or less between origin and destination, and typically in the same state, right? You're not crossing state lines. That's like the federal guidelines definition of what a local move is. But the thing that you need to know is a local move is generally billed by the hour. In other words, it's based on time, not based on weight. Interstate moves or long distance moves are typically billed by the pound or by the cubic foot, that kind of thing, right? So when it comes to choosing a company, what I would tell, if I had a friend or family member in another area asking me, I would have them look at companies, and you want to find the right size company. And what I mean by that is you have everything from a guy that has a couple friends and he goes and rents a rental truck and owns a moving company, all the way up to some gigantic, van lines type operations where, there are hundreds and hundreds of trucks and they have government contracts, those kind of things. Typically, I would say you want a mid-size or the right size company, which the way I would define that is they need to have enough equipment and enough personnel to handle the volume of jobs that they have on hand. And they need a warehouse, right? You're definitely going to want to check to make sure they have a facility. They're not just parking their trucks in some parking lot someplace, because you never know, something could happen and you need to store your stuff for a day or a week or a month. And what are they going to do? Put your stuff in self-storage, or do they actually have a warehouse? That also will give you an indicator. If they have their own facility, they're pretty well established. Warehousing's not cheap. They've probably been in business for a while. They've got enough wherewithal that they're not going to be closing their doors down tomorrow, right? Typically, what you get with the smaller moving companies is they're just not as reliable. The guys aren't trained. They may not even be like employees. They may just pick up like what they call day laborers or temp guys. The typical idea is that, it's just moving, you just need a strong back, but there's actually a lot of technique, a lot of experience that goes into doing a successful move. You have to know how to pack the truck, where to put the items, how to protect the items, those kind of things. Our movers are highly trained. They have to go through a series of training checklists before they're allowed to actually go into a customer's home and handle their belongings, that you work so hard for. So that's what you get with a mid-sized company. Typically, if you get into the larger companies, they're into government contracts. They have maybe what's called business-to-business contracts where they're doing all the moving for some large corporation. What we see with that is often what they call your average family moving across town or across the state. They call that COD. In other words, it's not contract work. It's a customer, we move you, you pay on delivery, right? Cash on delivery, COD. And they typically have the attitude that, that's a one and done. So, if we don't do a good job, it's no big deal. It's just that one customer, that one time, we're not really losing anything. Whereas companies like ours that depend on those families as our bread and butter, that's the people, that's the bulk of our business. We're gonna typically go above and beyond to make sure your move is done successfully, it's done on estimate, your items are protected, that you get a good experience with the move. So that's what I would say, is just find the right size company. You don't want to go with the cheapest, because you never know what you're going to get. Every summer I have horror stories. I have customers call my sales reps, hey, can you move me today? And we're like, wow, did you actually wait till today to book a mover? No, I had a mover lined up. He didn't show up. I can't get him on the phone. It happens all the time. It actually happens quite frequently. A guy's got one or two trucks and he's got you on the books. You've got a small move. You're moving, it's maybe not a lot of money for him. Then another customer calls up and says, hey, I got this huge house I want to move and it's going to be a much bigger job. He may just go do that job and not even call you and let you know. It happens. Mid-sized companies are concerned about their reputation. They're concerned about word of mouth, referrals, those kind of things. So they're typically going to take better care of you. And if something does go wrong with the move, you have a damage claim or something like that, they're typically going to take better care of you. So that would be my advice. Find the right size moving company.
Fairfax Transfer and Storage, 703-550-7974.